Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday. Danny and Dusty with you. How's everybody doing on this Monday?
So much football.
What a great Monday. I can't tell you how thrilled I am coming out of this weekend. Just awesome. Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl again. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're... What? They beat Joe Burrow in the Bengals on the road. I mean, I think that they're going to do it again.
They beat Slim Shady.
They're going to do it again. Yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl, guys. Pay no attention to a fumble on like the 1 yard line and Joe Burrow having nobody to throw the ball to because Jamar Chase was limited. Just don't let Patriots are back.
Is that a game that we look back? Oh, God, we're sporting so hard. But is that a game we look back in 10 weeks and go, yeah, that didn't count for the Bengals?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we're going to look at that and say exactly that. Well, that's a no countsies. Everything's going to be okay. I mean, I don't know. Bengals may have some problems with, running the football. But never a doubt the under hit in that one. Let's go. Feeling good about that.
Yeah,
I was feeling awesome about that.
Look, I put that parlay in on the Gesicki touchdown, and then he fumbles at the 1 yard line.
But he got you a touchdown.
Oh.
He got you a touchdown.
Gesicki didn't get me.
Yeah, he did. Mike Gesicki scored a touchdown in that game.
It's not a. Did he?
Yes, he scored the touchdown. I think it was the first touchdown in the second quarter, right?
It wasn't Gesicki.
Oh, it wasn't? I thought he scored a touchdown.
No, it was
No, never mind.
Zach Moss.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
He dropped a touchdown for you then?
Yeah. No,
in the back of the end zone?
Yeah, and then he also had
that sucks for you.
He also had the fumble.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Anyways, Jacoby Brissett's going to be the MVP. Efficient 15 of 24 for 115 or 121 yards.
God, he wasn't even the worst quarterback yesterday.
No, he won a game and
plenty of quarterbacks won games.
Was really efficient. Come on, let's go. You're not excited about 121 yards passing? Who are you?
Quarterback play was set back like 3 decades yesterday.
Yeah. So Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. My Southern Oregon Raiders, they won 42-6 over apparently the Bishop Sycamore of college football. Quite literally, the Bishop Sycamore of college football. If you guys haven't looked into this school, there's a school called Lincoln University.
That sounds made up.
Down in Oakland. They don't have a home field. They don't have a practice field. They don't have a weight room.
Do they have a campus?
Yeah, I think so. They get beat by like 1 billion points in every single game. And I texted a buddy down there and I was like, hey, is this a real school?
No.
Or is this the Bishop Sycamore of college football? And he sent me a link that said a scrappy football startup or the college Bishop Sycamore from USA Today. It's about Lincoln University. And so I was really pumped about this 42-6. Well, I was like, yeah, let's go. Yeah, it turns out I went and I tried to check their schedule.
No countsies.
And you go to their school's website and it gives you the 404 error. This website doesn't exist. I was like, all right, so they're just hiding everything. They're hiding everything from everybody.
Problematic.
So I got that going for me. Ducks winning another thriller. 37-34 at the buzzer. That game was something.
Brady made his debut as an announcer, and boy, is he not good.
I said this is the good stuff about the weekend. Tom Brady was not part of the good part of the weekend.
You got to go forward to go backwards.
I wonder.
It's harder to go 10 yards than it is to go 5 yards. I was just like, oh, this is how they won, huh? Okay.
I wonder how much of that was him just overthinking everything because of the NFL ownership and he can't be critical, he can't be accused of tampering. That was a big story, and it's he can't talk to anybody before the games. He looked a little nervous.
Yeah, he was. It made me go, I want Greg Olson on the call.
They should probably go put a helmet on him, make him feel more comfortable. Just put a helmet on him while he's in the booth and just calm his nerves a little bit.
Have his audio go through the helmet comms.
Yeah, because that's crystal clear audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see the Beavs had their first shutout in 41 years?
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
First road shutout in 41 years. You know what that last shutout was?
83.
Yeah, well, that was 41 years
Yeah.
ago. No, it was the Toilet Bowl Civil War. The 0-0 scoreless tie
God.
between Oregon and Oregon State.
Yeah, they said Trent Bray was a year old. I'm like, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah. That was the last time Oregon State shut an opponent out on the road.
I hate you guys so much.
How old were you, Jeff?
In what, 83?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was 7.
Yeah. All right.
Old.
And we talked with on the program pod, we talked with Mike Jorgensen.
Oh, Jorgie.
This week. We had a really good conversation about like his entire path to Oregon, and he's on like the Hall of Fame committee now. But we need to clear the air here. Jorgie gets the 83 Toilet Bowl pinned on him because he was a starting quarterback in 1983 for the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah. Did he not play in that game?
He broke his leg.
Oh.
He broke his leg. I need to defend Mike Jorgensen's honor here, and let everybody know that windy, rainy game was not on Jorgie. Okay, we need to get. I'm defending his honor. I promised him I would defend his honor from here on out. That and Mike Leach getting into the College Football Hall of Fame are my 2 life missions now. Well, and like raising my kids and, being a good husband, all that stuff. But Jorgie and Mike Leach getting into the Hall of Fame, that is my life mission now. And how about that Texas Tech, Washington State? We are sporting way too hard. That Texas Tech, Washington State game.
It was an abomination until they finally opened some things up.
That was awesome.
It was not an honor or a tribute to Mike Leach in that first quarter and a half.
Doesn't matter.
Then it opened up.
We got Mike Leach into the Washington State Hall of Fame. Now he needs to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. Do the right thing, College Football Hall of Fame. You can't tell the story of college football without Mike Leach.
It's not hard to do this. It was like, well, it's 5.99 winning percentage. Just put him in.
Yep, put him in. Say, you know what?
We don't care. It's our rules. We can make them however we want.
How about this? Contributor to the game.
There you go. It's not hard.
Contributor to the game. In his contribution to the game of football, pretty damn significant. Pretty significant. So we got a lot that we need to get to. We got to a little bit of it now. I'm on cloud 9. I'm on cloud 9 right now. Like a great weekend of college and NFL football.
So much football.
Yeah. I have a conspiracy theory.
Oh.
Can I unload the conspiracy theory on you guys today?
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
I like those.
All right. How about on 12:30, Dusty's Conspiracy Corner? Because I got, like, I believe this in my loins, in my plums. I have a feeling I know exactly what happened yesterday in the National Football League. So we'll have I'm writing it down right now. Conspiracy Corner. Because I'm playing 3D chess when y'all are playing checkers right now.
Yeah, okay.
All right. You ready for this? Okay. That's coming up at 12:30. And it has to do with Tyreek Hill getting arrested.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure. So you land this plane.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna land it real nice.
And get thrown to the ground, perhaps?
No, you can call me Sully. I'm gonna put this down on
so
the
you're
Hudson. And no, that was found not to be true.
No, that
Danny.
that was Denzel in the other movie.
Yeah, where he went upside down.
Yeah.
He went inverted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to Sully Sullenberger this thing. It's going to be a safe landing on the Hudson River, and everybody's going to be on my side by the end of the 12:30 segment, okay? Bet.
We'll see.
Bet. You will be. You will be. Yes, you will. I know you will be.
I'd like to be on the other side just to be safe.
No, this one's right up your alley. This one's right up your alley.
Okay.
All right.
You've caught my attention.
All right. I'll hold it.
And we got to see Nebraska beat the living hell out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Like that.
And oh boy,
Oof.
is the ball of yarn unraveling so quickly for Deion Sanders. We're going to get to
watched a game and loved a first half of football so much in my entire life.
But I found myself very torn. We talked about this last week. It gives me the creeps watching Dylan Raiola be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it is
very Mahomesian.
it's
He
cringy.
moves like him.
Quite the cosplay, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks like him. The
I
same
mean, if you're
number.
gonna buy into the bit,
like,
he's doing it really well.
yeah,
He's doing it really well, and he's actually even playing really good football, like Patrick Mahomes too.
Mhm.
He is so fun to watch. But then I see him and I'm like, can you wear 14 or 16?
just change it up just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's really cool that Patrick Mahomes is buying in. He's tweeting at him during the games and all that stuff.
I mean, he's really just
awesome.
setting him up to be a doppelganger so that when he gets arrested, he can just blame it on Dylan Raiola, which, again, long Kong.
Ooh.
I like it.
See? Now we're starting Danny's conspiracy corner.
Whoa. Starting? Come on.
All right. We live in Danny's conspiracy corner.
Volume 743.
What are we doing here? Come on now.
Yeah. All right. So that was a lot of sports.
Hey, it's Monday after the first week of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
We're allowed this one.
it happens.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
Here, non-sports. I went and floated the river.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was packed.
All right.
It was a nice little time.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Non-sports.
You pop your tubes?
No.
Were they worth $160?
Look, man, the turtle played.
Okay.
The turtle was super comfy.
All right.
It was
Good.
It made for tying them together because we put all four together.
Mhm.
A little awkward because it has a giant turtle head poking out.
Yep.
That happens.
Mhm.
But
does.
Other than that, went great.
Well, good.
So
When was that? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
It wasn't that hot.
it was about 85.
Okay.
So in the water, very chilly. The drive home, I was like, man, my lower back is tingling. It was because it was basically thawing out because
Okay.
my lower back and butt had been sitting in 58-degree water for 3
Perfect.
hours.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, the blood's flowing again there. That's useful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Floating the river.
Yeah, it's good times.
All right.
The lovely officers of the law not searching the river for alcoholic beverages.
Oh, okay. Well, they're probably busy watching football like every other
That's what
American.
I would imagine. There was quite a few ice
American.
chests floating down the river.
Interesting.
I was like, oh, we've evolved.
Bold move, Cotton.
It's like people had tubes with ice chests in them, like full.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's a river play.
oh, but I mean, I thought they got rid of that because they
No,
cracked down.
no rules. It's September. It's football season.
That's what I like to see.
Yep. All right. First Sunday of the NFL brought blowouts, upsets, and bad quarterback play. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Hicks rolls to the right, throws back in the middle, intercepted! And it's Reek Woolen who steps right in front of the receiver, Cortland Sutton. I don't think Bo Nix ever saw it.
Yeah, it was a call right here on the Fan yesterday. The Seattle Seahawks picking off Bo Nix twice in the opener as Seattle holds off the Broncos 26-20. One of, 11 interceptions yesterday across the NFL. Quarterback play struggling out of the gate in the National Football League.
Absolute cheeks yesterday. I mean, there was very few quarterbacks that looked good.
Yeah.
Just up and down, whether they're great quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, old quarterbacks. Nobody really looked great.
No.
It was just, there was a lot of mediocrity up and down the board, and it was, whether it's Dak getting paid $240 million and going out there and doing next to nothing against the Browns, or a veteran quarterback going out there and, Joe Burrow throwing for $160 with no weapons. It was, or heaven forbid, any of the rookie, or I should say two of the three rookie quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Bo Nix looking like rookies, and Jaden Daniels looking like a rookie, but better.
You had 7 quarterbacks with 2 interceptions yesterday.
Yeesh.
Or in the first week.
How many quarterbacks finished with $180 or less? Because I want to say it's probably 10 or more.
$180 or less.
Yeah,
you're looking at
yards.
17-31. What's that? I don't know what the math is on that. That would be
17-31.
16 quarterback or 14 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
14 quarterbacks with under 180 yards yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that's
Dak Prescott with the 179.
Does that feel like a productive NFL weekend from quarterbacks?
All the way down to, you know what? I'm not going to count Andy Dalton, Malik Willis, or Jake Hayner, who only each had 1 attempt.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to count those guys. So we will go. We'll bump that number right on down to 15, right on the head. Caleb Williams with the least of any starter, with 93 yards, and then going on all the way up to Dak Prescott with 179. And we only had 2 300-yard passers. I mean, it wasn't just guys not hitting that threshold of like 180 yards.
Yeah.
You only had 2 300-yard passers, and you go back to last year, the opening week last year, Tua threw for 466. Kirk Cousins, 344. Matthew Stafford, 334. Mac Jones threw for 316. Derek Carr for 305.
Yeah.
You had 5 quarterbacks over 300 yards in week 1. Only 2, and one of them, it took overtime to get there. Matthew Stafford, didn't get the ball. But Matthew Stafford threw for 317 yards, a touchdown and an interception yesterday. He was one of the 300-yard passers, and then the only other guy to throw for 300 in week 1 of the NFL's regular season, Tua did it again. 338.
There's more quarterbacks that threw for 2 touchdowns or threw for 2 interceptions yesterday than threw for 300 yards.
Yeah, and look, we're looking at a lot of different reasons why that can be the case, whether it is the lack of snaps in preseason. We not only have cut down from 4 to 3 preseason games, which the 4th one they rarely played anyways, but you have less guys even playing in those preseason games. You're seeing further and further getting away from the importance of the preseason. But also, I think defensive play has ramped up across the league, right? You looked at, we played the cut of the Seahawks and intercepting Bo Nix. Their coverage was just up, and they were saying, we know what Bo Nix does. We know what Sean Payton does. We are going to take anything away short, and we're going to try to dare him to beat us deep. We're going to bait him into a lot of throws. You're seeing a far higher level of defensive play, too. But the reality of it is that we're not just seeing whether it is receivers being banged up, not having your wealth of talent, see Joe Burrow, or guys just not playing in the preseason and getting those snaps and getting those reps.
Yeah, this isn't the old NFL being back. We aren't back to running the ball 35 times.
No.
And, 200 yards, 220 is a good week. The old Troy Aikman days. It's kind of funny. You go back and look at those Cowboys lines. You're like, Troy threw for like 220 on a good day. That wasn't the kind of days that you associated with the NFL. nowadays. And I think Vancouver Ford text line highlighting Baker Mayfield. Yes, Baker was very good. Baker was probably the best quarterback this weekend.
Baker played lights out, man.
Yeah, he was incredible.
And it doesn't mean just because you're not throwing for a bunch of yards, it doesn't mean that you're not playing well.
Sure.
I thought C.J. Stroud played really well for the Houston Texans. I mean, C.J. Stroud in the I think a lot of the flow of these games being week one, it was also very clunky. The flow of the game, defense always comes before offense, right? So we saw these really good defensive teams slow these offenses down where, see, New England in Cincinnati, 16-10 final. The Steelers in the Falcons game was allergic to offensive football. Kirk Cousins looked, and that was a situation where you didn't get good quarterback play. Kirk Cousins was missing open receivers, double clutching the ball. How many times when you watch Kirk Cousins did he double tap the ball before he threw it? J.J. Watt got home, timed up their snap count. He was really good. On the other side of that game, you had Justin Fields, who led them down to 6 field goal drives in a win. Justin Fields in a win.
He was a quote-unquote efficient, but nothing ever went down the field. It was 3 yards at a time.
Yeah, and then you had the Cardinals and Bills game where I think you go to that Cincinnati game, you look at the Cardinals-Bills game, the Bears game, the Seahawks game where you had 2 safeties in it. You had special teams plays all over the field, too, in week one, that it didn't really affect the scoring that much, but special teams came up in massive places in all of those games.
Bears.
Where, the Bears Titans games, where it wasn't just some subpar quarterback play, Daniel Jones throwing ridiculous interceptions, Will Levis in that Bears game throwing a Daniel Jones-esque interception.
Was that like the worst one ever? That was awful. The Will Levis.
The falling pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it was Daniel. Remember Daniel Jones' first pass attempt in the preseason?
Yeah.
In the end zone where he just flicked it out and was like, oh, no. Very similar.
I can at least give Levis a little bit of wiggle room in that it's, start number 8 for him?
Yeah.
This is start number 20-something.
When he basically never got
25.
off his knees on that one, too, and just went full-on, like, surrender Cobra.
I mean, Daniel Jones, look.
He did it before the play was even over.
Yeah.
He was like,
Caleb and Bo were both very bad. They're rookies making their first start.
Yeah.
If we're giving an award for worst quarterback play of the weekend, I'm pretty certain it's just Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones is up there.
Here's the insane thing. You had 6 quarterbacks with less than 5 yards per pass attempt.
Yeah.
That's just, ugh. That's egregious. That's bad. And again, that's Caleb, Bo, Jones, Brissett, Levis, and Watson, which Watson we can talk about later being broken.
I was going to say Deshaun Watson may be up there right alongside of Daniel Jones. And it's like that sliding scale of what we have seen from Deshaun Watson and what he is now.
I mean,
it's not the same quarterback.
His last year in Houston, he was a top 5 quarterback.
I don't know if it's a product of everything that he did to himself to get him in this mental space.
Because physically, it doesn't look like it's.
But he also had shoulder injuries.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, he's had an injury history. I just don't know if he is broken. Oh wait, no, clear cut for worst quarterback was Bryce Young.
Oh God, yeah, no, I forgot about that. He was like 10 of 30, right? Oh, 13 of 30. My bad.
Yeah, Bryce Young
He's awful.
Awful.
Brutal.
It was bad.
He might surpass Jamarcus.
Yeah.
He might surpass Jamarcus as the worst number 1 quarterback ever.
Yeah.
He's that bad.
Yeah.
And there's nothing redemptive
that
about
whole
him.
team is.
We talked about this on Friday. Like, do they have the potential to be like the worst team we've ever seen? And I genuinely think they could be.
They could be up there. Yeah. And I don't know, like,
there's and they just lost Derek Brown.
Yeah.
Like the one like remotely decent player on that team.
Well,
is packed up.
They're no Patriots, I can tell you that.
Oh God.
You know? The offensive line was not. Somehow they ran for 120 yards. I don't know how they did it.
Brutal.
I don't know how they did it. But we also saw teams going through it where Josh Allen, obviously uncomfortable with some of his new targets that he has and not having Stephon Diggs. I worry about Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, and the number of hits he's going to take?
Did he break his hand yesterday? His left hand?
Yeah.
I mean, they taped it up, they wrapped it. In the post game, he's like, I don't need my left hand. I'm right-handed quarterback. It's like, are we going to see a clubbed up quarterback playing?
Well, they haven't said a thing about it.
No, which is very odd.
Yeah.
And it took Josh Allen taking that game over with his legs for them to win. And two rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns.
He was really good.
He was
a really, like, if you're talking about quarterbacks this weekend that were good, he was really good.
But you can't play like that in the National Football League.
Oh, you mean between the tackles as a quarterback? No.
I mean, you are going to take so many hits.
Yeah,
you just can't afford to do that. But they escaped. They were on upset alert against the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, where Kyler Murray wasn't great. Yeah, looking okay. And that's kind of what I was expecting is Arizona's going to look okay. And do you see the play where Kyler Murray – and look, here's another thing too. We had so many quarterbacks missing wide open, like not like overthrowing or underthrowing, not even recognizing wide open receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr., there was nobody within 20 yards of him. And Kyler Murray was locked on to the middle of the field where there were like 3 guys draped over.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Dude.
1 catch, 3 targets. He was the anti
big catch though. Third down catch.
Did you see how many targets Cup had last night?
Well, yeah, especially when Puka Nacua went down.
It's dusty. 21 targets is insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
When Puka Nacua goes down, that's what Puka Nacua was getting when Cooper Kupp was out.
21 targets is crazy.
That is, but who threw for 300 yards? Matthew Stafford threw for 300 yards.
Look, speaking of the Cardinals, I told you the Rams were game. They're feisty.
Allowing 163 yards rushing is going to be a problem.
I will say, 75 of that came on 1 drive.
Yeah.
The overtime drive when they went, hey, Aaron Donald's not here. David Montgomery, run behind Ragnow and Penei Sewell, and we're just going to go, because it was an 8-play drive, they had 7 rushes.
Yeah.
And they just pounded it down their throat.
And guess what other teams are going to do moving forward? Say, hey, Aaron Donald isn't a menace anymore.
So let's
we can run the football now.
Did you see Dan Campbell in overtime on the camera?
Yes.
He was on demon time. Like, he was salivating running the ball.
It was a fever dream for him. He loved it.
He was ordering so many wings.
Yeah. You love to see it. The Lions are back. Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
So ugly.
They just ran the football.
It was such an ugly game. But I will say this. I hate Notre Dame with every fiery passion in my soul. Joe Alt is a dude.
Joe Alt is a monster.
Dude.
He was damn near perfect in grading in week 1 of his first NFL start.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all.
Tighten that tinfoil, baby.
Quarterback play down across the NFL. Will we see it in Monday Night Football? Aaron Rodgers makes his return tonight. 363 days.
Who's they playing?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh.
In Levi's Stadium, which is known for having really good turf. So a guy who's coming off an Achilles injury playing on that grass is probably going to have a ton of confidence.
Also, we didn't get to talk about this either. The Eagles-Packers game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That turf is the worst turf I think an NFL game has been played on in 30 years.
Okay, this is the problem when you play a football game on a soccer field because it's different grass. The root system is short root system, so it gets torn up a lot easier. Because have you ever seen a soccer player at 300 pounds, let alone have you ever seen a soccer player at 250 pounds?
You can stop at 200.
Okay, have you ever seen a soccer player at 200 pounds?
There's like 5 of them in the world.
It is a different style of play.
And cleat.
You're seeing a far different movement pattern too, where it's more hard cutting in football, a lot of planting in the trenches there. It's not conducive to playing football on a soccer pitch.
Horrendous footing.
Very bad.
It was like watching live Flintstones on ice.
You know who didn't have a problem though? Saquon Barkley.
Well, he did get bitten by the turf monster a few times, but he also broke some too.
He looked like he is proving a point this year.
Do you think the Mara family is currently packing the entire Giants front office stuff for them, or
probably?
Yeah. I still try.
I mean, Daniel Jones played really well.
You almost made it.
No, I did feel bad for Daniel Jones though, because you see, not only was he getting booed off of the field, but he was leaving the stadium and fans stuck around to boo him, and they were calling him Danny Pennies, not Danny Dimes. They were yelling Danny Pennies at him, burning his jersey in the parking lot. Like, it was like,
he's got 140
yikes.
trillion pennies
Yeah.
to work with, so I think he's okay.
Yeah, I still feel bad. Like, you know this, though. They are human beings.
Oh yeah, no, it's
That
the money
is
doesn't cover it all up, but also
brutal, dude.
this goes back to what we talked about 2 years ago when they gave him that contract.
It was not
it then.
Not good.
String him out on the franchise tag and give Saquon the money. It was gonna be better for you.
They did not.
Ugh.
They did not. All right. We'll have a lot more NFL. Quarterback play, not fantastic.
Ugh.
Not fantastic.
Horrendous.
You want to go to my conspiracy corner?
Yes.
All right. Dusty's conspiracy corner next on the Fan. Here's Rust.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on the Fan, NFL Week 1 wraps up tonight with Monday Night Football from Santa Clara. Aaron Rodgers looking to make it to at least a second series of the game as the Jets visit the Niners. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. The Niners are 4-point favorites. ESPN reporting Panthers Pro Bowl defensive tackle Derek Brown will have surgery to repair an apparent meniscus injury, which could potentially be season-ending. ESPN also reporting Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson could still play Sunday against the Saints despite being diagnosed with a bone bruise and a minor left MCL sprain. Over in college ball, Oregon receiver Tez Johnson named Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week for his 85-yard punt return touchdown against Boise State that gave the Ducks a 27-20 lead in the third quarter. And on the diamond, the Mariners off today after taking the weekend series with the Cards. They start a 9-game homestand tomorrow with 2 against the Padres. Seattle still 4.5 games back of Houston in the AL West and 3.5 games out of the wild card with 18 games left on the schedule. The Astros are also off today after winning their weekend series with the Diamondbacks. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
right, you ready to sit in on my conspiracy corner?
Yes. Tighten that tinfoil, baby.
Last night I had this epiphany as week 1 of the NFL's regular season was winding down on Sunday. We do have a Monday night game. Jets at Niners. But yesterday, as I'm watching Sunday Night Football, I'm looking at the ticker, and the ticker reads, Tyreek Hill arrested, Dak Prescott earns record deal. And I went, I'll be damned, the NFL did it again. We wake up yesterday morning, and the news du jour is Tyreek Hill getting arrested on his way to the stadium yesterday.
It was crazy. I'm sitting there because it happened. It was much like the Masters.
No, the PGA.
It was PGA. I'm sorry.
Or U.S. Open?
No,
wherever Scotty Scheffler.
Scheffler. Anyways, I golf. I swear. But you had Jeff Darlington literally standing there, so there was clarification on what the hell happened immediately, and it was like, Now Darlington was, I believe, in Miami at the game, but not in the vicinity of where this happened, so it was okay in that vein. But you just had, passersby with video of Tyreek Hill kind of being sucker punched and being thrown to the ground. And it was like, okay.
Very weird. The officer has been placed on administrative leave. Apparently as it's going, they careless driving. He was apparently speeding, wasn't wearing a seatbelt, got pulled over.
A total douche canoe here, and then probably very likely.
And then apparently he got mouthy with the officer, and then the officer went, "Hold my beer. I'm going to take this 2 steps further."
Yeah, and that's the police union has put their foot down and said that Hill was uncooperative during his stop, and it's like,
okay, but I mean, we can see 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, look, a guy being a D-hole does not mean you get to slam him to the ground.
Yeah. And boy, that was some spin zone with Drew Rosenhaus, like being boots on the ground immediately. He lives in Miami, but so he was there, like handling his little press thing. And
it was Rosenhaus and Tyreek's lawyer were both there on site. Which, I mean, if you're Tyreek Hill and you've got how many kids through how many different women, you probably do have a lawyer near you at all times.
Well, I think with Tyreek Hill too, it was pretty funny to have the end zone dance on his 80-yard touchdown be him getting
locked
cuffed.
Up. Yeah.
He's probably feeling okay about how this is going to play out when it's all said and done. But Tyreek Hill, we all wake up, he's arrested. We're all going, whoa, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
This is bizarre world. About an hour and a half later, Dak Prescott becomes the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Highest paid player in NFL history. $1 million more.
Boy, do I love to see it.
A move that you go, oh, that is a choice, Jera. Hear me out on this. Dusty's Conspiracy Corner. This is twofold. It's a win-win for the NFL and for the Dallas Cowboys. They hold this off until the opening, not just the opening week of the NFL.
Oh, you slide it in,
but you slide it in right as the Tyreek Hill news is coming in. And so for the NFL, it's brilliant because one of your star players gets arrested a block away from the stadium. And then you have this other news story. So it's not just wall-to-wall Tyreek Hill. They've got to break it up a little bit for Dak Prescott coverage because he just got paid $231 million guaranteed. He's a $240 million deal for Dak Prescott. But also on top of it, the Cowboys are sitting there going, we're not going to take all of the heat for giving Dak $231 million because we know that's coming. It's week 1. It's going to be out of the news cycle pretty quickly. And, oh, by the way, we split this with Tyreek Hill before the kickoffs even happen. It's a win-win for the NFL, for Tyreek Hill, and for Dak Prescott because he doesn't catch nearly as much heat. It gets buried by the Tyreek Hill stuff and the week 1 of the NFL regular season. And then Tyreek Hill's news story has to be covered not as intensively because of the fact that Dak Prescott got paid as well. It was brilliant timing. And I go back to, what did the D-bag that just got fired for the Commanders say? State-run media.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, and that, he said that on his little date that he went on.
He was trying to get laid.
It was he was covering up for poop pipes in the Commander Stadium bus bursting, and he said, "I just said it was water." Now that is state-run media. This is the NFL just going, all right, how do we cool this thing? Jerry?
Are you calling Dak Prescott a
We're
poop pipe?
Well, might be. Might be. Well, actually, the Tyreek Hill getting arrested was the poop pipe. The Dak Prescott is, look over here, it's just water. There's water over here.
When I saw the Dak deal, I thought it was a ball sack sports thing.
Did you?
$231 million for Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Yeah. For Dakota Prescott, $231 million? Yeah, I thought that was fake.
Yeah.
Boy, am I glad they did that because now I don't have to worry about the Raiders doing it.
Yeah.
That was the first. When I realized it was actually real, I went, yes.
Now your worry is about them drafting Shedeur Sanders.
I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there.
We are talking about the Raiders here.
Yeah. Again, like I'm
QB1's going to go off the board to Carolina. You guys are going to be stuck with QB2. And you're going to go, we got to take a quarterback. And it's
Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers.
Would you rather have Shedeur Sanders
or 32-year-old Cam Ward
or Dak Prescott?
I'm thinking of Cam Rising, excuse me.
Yeah,
God. That's revolver or shotgun.
See? No, I think you'd take Dak. I mean, not at $231 million.
Yeah,
but
that's the difference. Like $231 million. No, there's two quarterbacks that would take it at that price. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, three. Outside of that, no. God, no.
Well, I'm just saying. So I think old Roger Goodell, he called in that shot to the Cowboys and was like, now's the time.
Send it.
Now is the time. We release this contract.
That red phone in Jerry's office rang.
Yeah. He's like, Jerry, I know where the skeletons are.
Release
the contract. Give him the money now.
Jerry's the one telling Goodell he knows where the skeletons are.
I know.
Call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Send it in on Tyreek. I need some cover.
We need no. Oh man,
I did that thing I do every single time where I pay the wrong guy too much money.
All right, we can pivot to some college football. We've got a little bit of college football coming up. Top of the hour, we will digest another nail biter in unrest in Eugene at 1:00. But coming up next, we mentioned Shedeur Sanders in Colorado. The snowball continues to fall and roll down the hill for the old Colorado Buffaloes. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, it happened. The Colorado Buffaloes rolled into Lincoln, Nebraska, and they ended up rolling out with a significant loss. A game that was not close from the start to the finish. Nebraska rolls up Colorado 28-10 in a game that wasn't that close. 28-0 at halftime. Nebraska took their foot off the gas. That place was rocking. Their defense was absolutely insane.
Yeah, they coasted home.
I mean, it was that defense in Nebraska. Matt Rule's a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Really good coach. A true freshman quarterback in his second start, Dylan Raiola, goes 23 of 30, only 185 yards, but a touchdown.
I mean, he marched them down the field, and then Dowdell punched touchdowns in. That was basically it. And then you had the pick six. That once the pick six happened, that was Daniel Jones-esque from Shedeur.
Yeah,
it was late. It was floated. It was to the field side. Everything you could do was wrong, and it was like, oh. Good. Like the second that pick six happened, the game was over.
And what everybody went to after that, from that point on, was here comes the stat padding, and that's exactly what we saw. Travis Hunter, 10 catches, 110 yards in the game. No touchdowns though. You just saw Shedeur, because playing from behind, they were airing it out. And side note in all this, Shiloh Sanders, Deion's kid, did get hurt, broke his forearm, had surgery on it. So. Well wishes to him. Hopefully he gets better soon. But all of a sudden we saw Colorado is unraveling again. And what happens next? Well, what happened next is a report that came out saying Deion Sanders had asked the Colorado band not to play the fight song after they score a touchdown that Shedeur is a part of, and instead wants over the stadium loudspeaker to play Shedeur Sanders' rap song, which Nebraska played in the locker room after they rolled them up 28-10. They played that Shedeur Sanders song.
What is it? Timing is right, or perfect timing, or something like that?
Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah. And
I don't know. He took 6 sacks, and there was like 16 negative plays in the game for Colorado.
So what we have here is everybody now is just saying, all right, more ammo. We've reloaded the clip. Time to fire again at Deion.
Yeah.
And they're saying, no, this is not true. Okay. Here is the statement from Colorado sports person. There's on the report, Deion Sanders told the band not to play the fight song after his son Shedeur scores a touchdown. This from Kyle Bonagura of ESPN. This is not true. Nobody ever asked the band to refrain from playing the fight song. After a touchdown, the band plays Glory, Glory, Colorado. After the extra point from a touchdown, the band plays Fight CU, as has been the standard practice for years. Okay, that seems pretty standard. However, when Shedeur Sanders scores a touchdown, the band will wait a moment for a small snippet of Shedeur's song to play before immediately kicking into Glory, Glory, Colorado. This is exactly what happened during the game against North Dakota State. The practice is not unique to Shedeur, as the band will wait a moment after a successful field goal to play Alejandro Mata's song before playing Fight CU. Their kicker has a song? So what?
This seems mildly problematic.
And so they do play the fight song, but I think what people are all saying about this is, no, we definitely believe that Deion went to the band and said, you got to wait because we're going to play Shedeur's song after the touchdown. Then you guys can play your fight song. Happy little medium there.
Yeah, this is everything and more about what people have accused Prime of doing, which is using Colorado basically to get his son to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen here is in 3 years.
There's a lot of Deion is a grift going around.
In 3 years, you're going to see Prime in an interview, and he goes, "Of course, I was doing my best for my son. It's my son. That's what I'm supposed to do is take care of him."
Well, I think
you know that's coming.
What we're seeing though is he's not hiding behind that. He's already told us he's going to manipulate the NFL like the Mannings did to get his kid where he wants him to go.
It's going to be even more egregious and over the top in like 3 years when he's doing interviews because he's not coaching anymore.
Yeah. And
it should surprise absolutely no one.
But this is one of the ones where, and I do criticize Deion for when he says one thing and the actions of his team or him go completely counter to that. And I don't like that's something that rubs me. I want him to be the disruptor. I like disruptors being successful.
Yes.
It's getting harder and harder when you have the talk out of one side of your mouth and then go ahead and do something else on the other side, right? Like you're given the old magician trick of look over here with what my right hand is doing, and I'm going to do the sleight of hand with the left. That seems like that's becoming exposed more and more with what's going on at Colorado. And this it feels like this may be one of those things as well. They're doing everything they can to protect him, though, and they're going a long way to protect him. All right, right now is your chance to win a free pizza from Bellagio's Pizza. If you listen to the Ducks post-game scoreboard show, okay, they gave you the very best player. If right now, text the Bellagio's Pizza very best player to 503-864-6326. That's 503-864-6326 right now to enter your chance to win a free pizza at Bellagio's Pizza. Head over to the 1080thefan.com for complete details. All you got to do is text in the name of the Bellagio's Pizza very best player to 503-864-6326 from Oregon's win over Boise State last Saturday night. All right, let's dive into that game. Ducks white knuckle another one in Autzen Stadium. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Monday afternoon. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it is on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am the fan, or youtube.com/1080am the fan. We're the party people, with the party people party on YouTube.
Indeed.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being a part of the day. Oregon survives another one, 37-34 over Boise State down in Autzen Stadium. And it was a game that similar and different in the ugliness and the uneasiness that fans left Autzen Stadium with on Saturday night than to week 1 against the Idaho Vandals, where it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds and a lot of what-ifs that Oregon fans are looking back on that game against Boise State saying, you know, if you do the X, Y, and Z, a game looks totally different. But the reality of it is right now with Oregon, they're not doing those things that to pull away, to separate, or to play those clean games where these impressive wins that people are expecting will happen. Right now, I said it, they're flirting with disaster but finding success.
Yeah, it's always better to learn in wins.
Yeah.
But the F around and find out index is spiking. And we said this on Friday. Do they have to cover? No. But it was more of the style of that they handle the game with. And they did not handle the game. The game handled them.
Yeah.
For 58 minutes?
You had, well, I thought the second half, the offense played far better. But again, there was the self-inflicted wounds that made you step back and go, whoa.
Outside of the final drive where they marched down to kick the field goal, did it feel like they ever had both hands on the wheel?
Yes, right before the fumble of Patrick Herbert.
But that's what I mean. Like there was the line of consistent control.
Established a run game. They were running the football, whether it was first down or third and long, right? They were running the football to the chagrin of fans in the stadium. But that was what they were going to try to do, is establish their identity and run the ball. And the level of success that they had in the first half was not great, especially when you look at total yards, because of more breakdowns in protection. And Dylan Gabriel gets sacked a few times in that first half. The second half, we saw a change in the execution and the level of execution offensively. You go into the break down 20-14, and there was a lot of unrest and uneasiness, especially with the way that the half ended, right? Where Boise gets a field goal on their final drive of the game to make it 20-14, and you're saying we're down a touchdown now, and Boise gets the ball back. The middle 8, again, where Oregon has thrived, and Dan Lanning has made it a hallmark and something that he put his foot down and said we were really good in the middle 8 all last season. Middle 8, they were not great at to start that first or the last 4 minutes of that first half. They come out in the second half, though. Defense holds. They do a really good job bottling up Genty. And really, that first half, I thought they did a good job of bottling up Ashton Genty as well. But you force a punt, and then your offense comes out, and they march down the field, and you get a 59-yard touchdown strike from Dylan Gabriel to Trayshawn Holden.
All on a slant. All because that's where you saw the talent show.
You saw deep shots being taken, but they were running the football far more effectively. Yeah. At that point, right, Oregon now has tied the game up. You miss an extra point, and everybody's like, oh, my gosh. Atticus Appington, by the way, is absolutely nails when it comes to extra points. But again, it's like Murphy's Law, right? If it can't go wrong, it will go wrong. So you're sitting there at 20-20. Defense holds a 3-and-out, okay? Your offense comes out. They sputter a little bit. I think a penalty on that drive kind of put them behind the sticks. And then the defense comes back out, and Tez Johnson returns a punt for a touchdown. All of a sudden, you're looking at what was a 6-point deficit at the half. You're up 7 now. And all the momentum is on Oregon's side. And Tez Johnson on that punt return, my goodness, when he got that shoulder pad pulled back and he caught his balance. It was 2 steps, and he was back to full speed up the sideline.
Do you mean Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week, Tez Johnson?
That's the one. That's the one. After that, and this is where I thought that's where the momentum was squarely on Oregon's side. Boise looked like they were starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. The crowd was back into it, and they missed a long field goal. You hold them to a long field goal. Oregon got the ball back, and they were moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were moving down the field. And then Patrick Herbert has that fumble, ball gets popped out. And the momentum in what a sudden change does for a defense is crazy. You look at the 2 longest runs that Ashton Jeanty had on the night. 31-yarder and then a 70-yarder, his 2 longest runs. Both of them were on the first play of a drive, and the 70-yarder came immediately after that fumble. Sudden change. And he is so damn good.
He's a legitimate Heisman candidate.
And he's little.
Yeah.
He is a little. I will say he's listed at 5'9". He was not
5'9", 215, I believe is what he listed at.
somebody that is 5'9" in cleats and a helmet.
That's damn near 6 foot tall.
Should be, yeah, he should be taller than me.
Yeah.
He was not.
No.
He was not. Like, he is small, compact.
He's 5'9" in a helmet.
Dude is chiseled.
Yoked.
His arms and legs are enormous. And he's probably like, yeah, if he's like 5'7", 205, cram 205 pounds into somebody 5'7", and it's what you get with Ashton Jeanty.
Little Maurice Jones-Drew.
He is
a little bowling ball.
So explosive, too.
He doesn't go down on first hits.
No, he doesn't. But right there, the momentum that you had, it was like, oh, okay. But the offense is playing well. Then you have the missed snap. And it's just like every little thing that they are doing, it's all correctable, right? Whether it is that snap where Dylan Gabriel, I don't know how he caught it, but he bounces off his pads, he gets it, he picks up the first down, and then gets the ball popped out. Good play by Boise, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that was a very good play by Boise to get that ball out. All of these things are correctable, but the way that it was against Idaho was different than the way it was against Boise State, and that's where the concern, and that's where people are starting to mash the panic button with the Oregon Ducks. I will say, and I know Coach Lanning didn't really want to get into it, but the shuffling of the offensive line.
Even if you're sorting out some of the O-line rotation, Dan, as you mentioned, are 4 different lineups and 11 changes and 57 plays too much? Was that by design? And does this uncertainty give you pause or raise questions about in the offseason about the spring, about mixing and matching personnel as much as you guys did?
Well, I think if you're mixing and matching today, that's probably a good reason to make sure you mix and match in the spring. But, I mean, how long did it take you to do all that math? Just keep track. Good. I'm glad you figured it out. We're going to figure out who the best is. Keep working it.
And they did find success with the matchups on the offensive line. I thought they went Connerly at left tackle, Struther at left guard, Poncho moved over to center, Marcus Harper to right guard, and Johnny Cornelius. They ran for 93 yards in the second half. And that was, with that group, they were very effective. And if that is going to be the rotation that we see moving forward, I mean, that group didn't get a whole lot of snaps together in the first half. They went to that in the second half, and they did find more success running the ball. And then also in the pass protection, it did get cleaned up a heck of a lot more because of the fact that you didn't have any sacks in that first half or second half. But I think that you go down to it and you go 2-0 is better than being 1-1 or God forbid 0-2 at this point. We saw how many teams slipped up. You were talking about them earlier, Notre Dame.
The number of teams that slipped up, not just in the top 25, but like the general like top 40 in college football, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was the cream of the crop is very thin this year.
Yep.
And basically teams, I think the 2 best teams in the country right now, and we'll talk about these teams later, are probably Ohio State and Texas.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear right now who the 2 best teams in the country are right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Georgia.
Georgia is a menace.
So 3. So
Yep.
3 teams in where you're just like, these 3 teams are clearly better than everyone else.
Yep.
Then it's the sorting of Oregon, Ole Miss, USC, that Tennessee, like that group of teams where you're just like, I don't know, given what week it's going to be, what 4 through 15 looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't, and it's going to take week after week. And I tell you this, look, Oregon winning and figuring stuff out is better than losing, like you're saying.
Yep.
But if they played anybody in the first 5 weeks this season, they would be in trouble.
Yeah.
That's because they've basically got a month to figure this out. You've got Oregon State this week. We've got the Civil War this week.
Well, I mean, you mess around, you're going to lose that game,
Yeah.
just like they almost lost the Boise State game. I mean, it's not like anything is given. Then they have a bye, and then they go to UCLA. I mean, they do have time to get healthy, get right, and I think that that's something that is going to be a major concern for a lot of people. Is all right. If when they do get healthy up front, Matt Bedford comes back, and Nishad Strother didn't play at all last week against Idaho. Remember, he had a shoulder injury last year that held him out.
The problem becomes, though, if these guys get healthy and these issues are still here, because it's
no doubt about it.
Because it's not just the offensive line.
No, I think when you look at the fumble in the end zone from Noah Whittington, where the Big Ten officials, by the way, did not do a very good job of explaining what the reasoning was, because they just said the call of an Oregon touchdown has been confirmed. Well, it was Noah Whittington dropped the ball before he got to the goal line, and Jaden Lamar, who is his return mate back deep, went stride for stride with him, leading the way blocking, and he was there just to pick it up. Like, the ruling was Noah Whittington fumbled, Lamar scored the touchdown. It was considered a 0-yard return by Jaden Lamar for a touchdown. Don't know if I've ever seen that before.
That's interesting. Okay.
Don't know if we'll ever see it again. But he dropped the ball before he crossed the goal line. It's little things that are biting them that are very uncharacteristic and things that we haven't seen before. And that overwhelms the fact that Gabriel was efficient again. He threw the ball downfield and pushed the ball downfield. He got a deep ball to Evan Stewart. He got a deep ball to Trayshawn Holden.
And he did run. Now, his total yards for the game was negative because he got sacked 4 times. But he did tuck the ball and go a couple times, which I was like, okay. But we saw the difference between the talent level between Idaho and Boise State is very real. And if Boise State had a quarterback, look, Madsen made a couple plays, but if they had the ability to push the ball at any given time in that game, Boise State wins that game.
Well, I think Oregon's defense played really well. Spread the back end in Brandon Johnson, who he had the interception week 1 against Idaho. He had a couple tackles for loss in this game where your nickel is coming up and he's playing at and behind the line of scrimmage, but also making plays down the field in the pass game. Kobe Savage had had a good breakup. Jabbar Muhammad on an out route where I thought Madsen threw a really good ball and Muhammad came over the top. They tried to isolate 2 different linebackers on the outside with Ashton Genty, who's a really good receiving running back. That's where he's going to really make his hay in the NFL, is that he's not just a runner, he's a receiver too. The smoke screen that they tried to throw to him and Bryce Betcher went and blew it up. That was an incredible play because they said, we're going to put Genty on the numbers against a linebacker, and he has one guy to beat, and nobody else will touch him. Betcher came up, made a play. I thought the linebackers have played really well. And then the other one was they put Devin Jackson on him, and Devin Jackson, a linebacker, went stride for stride with him down the sideline. And they tried to throw a deep ball to Genty on the next time they went down that way. And Madsen, I thought, threw a good ball on that too.
There were 12, again, to give Oregon credit, there were 12 pass deflections. They had some disruption. There's no doubt about it.
They were really stinking good of getting a hand on the ball and breaking it up. But
are you worried, though, about the
Boise,
lack of pass rush?
Boise's worried about Maddox Madsen because there were fans that were criticizing his efficiency last week or 2 weeks ago against Georgia Southern. The lack of pass rush, not against a team like Boise. Because you're not worried. It is make Maddox Madsen beat us. We need to worry about where number 2 and number 26. Sire Gaines is a really good running back too.
He's a spicy little meatball.
Yeah, they got 2 running backs there that are pretty dang good. So
where did he transfer from?
I have no idea. But I'm not worried about the pass rush necessarily because of stylistically what Boise State does, but and he dropped back 40 times in that game, and you made him uncomfortable. It's not getting him down in sacks necessarily, but it is the fact that you're making him uncomfortable. And I think that they've done a good job defensively in that regard through to this point. And their offense, look, reality is their offense has put them in some pretty bad situations with, those 2 fumbles and short fields and whatnot.
Vancouver Ford text line. God, it just disappeared on me. Oh, there it is. When are we going to stop calling a loss of Boise State a slip up? Oregon did have some mistakes, but Boise State is legit with a Heisman candidate running back. You were the number 3 team in the country coming into the season.
Well,
expectations are vastly. I do
and
not
they haven't
care.
been hiding behind those expectations either.
And that's
right?
the thing. Is like this isn't
expectations
This was
of
supposed
what
to be
you're-
a title team.
Yeah, and look, they've been winning with talent. Full stop. The first 2 weeks. That's what they've done.
It is not execution that is doing them wonders.
And that is the thing where you go, you look at it and you go, what is the fatal flaw right now? It's been protection, right? And you can clean that up.
But
it's
but
gotta
protection
happen
against
soon.
Idaho and Boise State.
Well, Idaho went up with their backup quarterback and beat Wyoming.
Again, Wyoming,
expectations.
Wyoming is not the number 3
You
team
should
in the
not.
country.
You should not be sitting there going, yeah. And this is the thing is that Oregon has got to clean up all of the stuff that's just snake bitten them in the first 2 weeks.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that Oregon State can win this game.
No.
Like,
no.
If you're an Oregon fan, you should be at bare minimum mildly worried.
Yeah.
Mildly worried.
And that is the test for Dan Lanning and his staff moving forward is cleaning up the little things that have become big things, right?
Mhm.
I mean, the little things have become big issues for this team. But where the expectations were and what we have seen through the first 2 weeks, Lanning says it. Like, it's not up to our standard. And it's not up to and that's their internal standard. It's not up to their internal standard. It's not up to the external standards either, because there is this feeling that they should have run away with those first 2 games. There is this feeling that they should run away with the game against Oregon State, which, and you think about this with Vegas, they're still thinking like this is a 2-score game against Oregon State. What we've seen through the first 2 weeks doesn't measure up to that. And Vegas isn't in the game of we're going to lose a lot of money by making this a 2-score spread here, right? They are in the business of making money on these things, and what they are seeing is, all right, they have talent. Are the things that are biting them correctable? I think they are, but we need to see the improvement from week 2 up to week 3. Man, it didn't give people a lot of great feelings heading out of that one.
I would say that I believe the game when the season schedule was announced, Oregon State was a 20-point line. I think it was 20.5. It's 16.5 now, and it's actually giving the Beavers, according to ESPN's analytics model, the Beavs have a 32% chance of winning.
Yeah,
that's not an insignificant number.
No. And look, Oregon State's offense
is simple and rudimentary, but
not very good. But Oregon needs to clean up their mistakes on the offensive end, because if you give a team a short field, if you have the breakdowns,
unforced
front,
turnovers,
then that is going to be something that rivalry games especially. And look, you don't think Oregon State's looking forward to this one?
Oh, that place
not
is
only is it a
zoo.
Not only is it a rivalry, there's a lot of Oregon State fans though that are on this. I'm not going to that game. We shouldn't even be playing it anymore, which is a weird take, because the people that are going to be there are going to be loud and they're going to be angry.
And I mean, and if you get it, the get back here is legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, you left? You know what I mean? Like that there, it could be very real.
Yeah. But we're going to see some with Oregon State's defense has had Idaho State, and then they go out and they shut out San Diego State this past week with Danny O'Neal at quarterback. They're starting a true freshman down at San Diego State. But the offense, that was a 7-0 game for a large chunk of it. And it was like
very rudimentary,
pulling teeth when you're looking.
Turns out when you lose your underclassman quarterback that was going to take over and your NFL caliber running back, in the transfer portal and to your wide receivers.
And
It's difficult to replace all of that.
Look, I say 2-0 is better than being 1-1, 0-2 right now, and stubbing that toe. But we have seen teams, and look, I understand every single bit of pessimism that's coming out, but when you have correctable things and not these big glaring holes in your roster, you can improve over the course of a season, right? Think of Stanford. Remember when Stanford went and lost to Northwestern? And I think they played in the Pac-12 championship game that year.
Oh, God.
Right? You can get better over the course
100%.
of a season.
Who you are
it
in the
has
beginning of the
not been
season-
up to the expectations
No.
of fans, and as Lanning puts it, their standards as well.
Yeah, and I will say, typically,
And those standards are really high. Remember when they beat Portland State 81-7, and Lanning said it's not up to our standards last year? It's a really high standard
high
internally. It's high standard externally as well.
and the thing is like you can get better.
Yeah.
But I will say, typically, teams that finished in the top 4, they have maybe a game like this.
Yeah.
Not back-to-back games to start the season. And you could say injuries and offensive line, like you find a way around it where it doesn't look as dicey 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
If it looks dicey again, even if they beat Oregon State, it's time to be afraid.
Yeah, I think the rotation on the offensive line
Tightens up a little bit.
I think it does this week, and hopefully Matthew Bedford is back again. Gary Bryant Jr. was suited up. Didn't see him in much action. I don't think any. Bedford again was, close to return, as Dan Lanning said last week, and maybe you see him this week as well. All right, some of your thoughts on the Vancouver Ford text line. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, send me your feedback on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. Let's see here. We've got... Here's why you should worry, Duck fans. You were ranked number 3 in the country to start the season. You're a legitimate national title contender with a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback, one of the best NIL collectives in college football.
And you've squeaked out 2 wins against teams from Idaho.
Yeah. Hey.
Maybe the least productive NFL or football state west of the Mississippi. Not even arguably. It is.
I mean, Boise, and here's the thing about Boise. Are they good? I think they're good.
I mean,
I think they're good.
This is a team that gave up 44 points to
But
Georgia
again,
Southern.
this goes to expectations. Yeah. Expectations. And that, look, Georgia Southern whipped the ball all around the field, and Oregon came out and they just tried to run the ball down their throat. You know? I mean, that is it.
Yeah, Oregon fan, this is what comes with being a legitimate title contender.
Yeah.
Like
Oregon now 1-3 against them all time. Got that first win.
Yeah.
So
if you told me that Boise State was the team that got in as the group of 5, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, that's what a lot of people were projecting at the beginning of the year.
They have a legitimate Heisman candidate at running back.
Yeah. This text says, I'm being optimistic, but I think the Ducks are being conservative play calling. Hopefully they'll open it up more.
I don't know if they were being all that conservative in the second half of either game because they needed to win those games.
I think as far as install goes, we haven't seen the full bag of tricks yet, but yeah, they're trying to win football games. I mean, make no mistake about that. And I think a big turning point, the Trayshawn Holden 59-yard touchdown came right after Alex Tubner, the Seaside native, got ejected for targeting. And that they went at him and just went, nope, we're gonna pick on the backup who came in, Trayshawn Holden. Next thing you know, he and Tez Johnson are high-fiving on the way in the end zone.
What is Holden's 40? Is he like a 4.3 guy?
No idea.
Because he looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah. They got some
like
fast
I knew he
players.
was fast, but he looked different.
Yeah.
Pulling away. Now, part of that's probably
4.48.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe part of
that is still really fast.
Well, no, I know. But there's levels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he looked like he had another gear. That probably has to do with it being Boise State and their back end not being what you would typically see in the Big Ten or SEC.
Yeah, he has speed, and football speed is different than 40 speed too.
Sure,
he did look fast on
that play in particular. I stood up and went, damn.
Yeah,
because it was one of those like he was in the end zone. Quick, fast, in a hurry.
And Genty lived up to the hype. As this text says, that Genty may be the best in FBS. Yeah, he is really damn good because it wasn't like the holes were gaping.
Huh.
He was running into dudes. He'll run through you, around you, over you. He does all of it.
I think you're probably your 3 best running backs in the country are probably Genty, Gordon, and Martinez.
Quinshon Judkins at
yeah.
Ohio State is really good. Yeah. After seeing Michigan in their offensive line, I don't know.
Donovan Edwards
is going to be that much of a factor, but he's a really good running back.
But I mean, he's not going to have an opportunity because they're not good enough.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, he's had back-to-back games where I think he's had less than 8 carries.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this Vancouver Ford text line, as a Duck fan, I could not have handled another fluky loss to Boise State. Let's never play another team from the state of Idaho ever again.
I don't know if those first couple of games were fluky.
Well, 19-8 with Chip Kelly was a little with the weirdness that happened in that one, and then
it was weird because
I think the
running back acted a fool and punched a guy after running for negative yards.
Well, that was after the game.
I know. But you run for negative yards.
It was
the
flow of that game was bizarre, and then the first time was they lost 2 quarterbacks in 2008. The 2008 game, they lost 2 quarterbacks and had to burn the red shirt off of Darren Thomas.
Yeah.
And so they had to play their 3rd quarterback. And then the 3rd game was the 2017 Vegas Bowl where Willie Taggart left them. And
that one was weird.
They had...
but the game in Boise? No.
They had an offensive line. The game was weird. That game played out really
I don't know, man.
Very bizarre.
I can't call weird or bizarre when somebody manhandles somebody.
Well, okay. Well, okay. We'll go back to that, and you can go and look at that game again. Maybe you should rewatch it. But
I'd love to
it was-
rewatch running for negative yards against a team.
For the best rushing attack in college football too. Like that was, I would say that's an anomaly.
I don't call it fluky though when you manhandle somebody like that.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, the 2017 game was the Willie Taggart leaves. You had guys opting out of the game.
Yeah, no,
left
that
and right.
was
a
game
weird
was weird as
time.
hell.
That was a weird time. But they got over the hump. Boise State gives Oregon problems, man.
I think
They
you
do.
would just say Boise State gives everyone problems.
Yeah,
They're
do.
just a good.
Yeah.
It is super weird that a football team in Boise, Idaho,
Yeah.
is problematic to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, ask Oklahoma about them. They probably don't like them either. When was the last time Oklahoma played Boise State?
Fiesta Bowl.
was it that game?
Yeah, it was a Fiesta Bowl game.
Like, no,
Yikes.
we're not putting them on the schedule.
Nope, we're out on this one.
They might have discovered a new one though in Houston.
Yeah, maybe. Watch out for them Houston Cougars.
I think you say Cougars in general. All right, coming up next, it's time for our worst day on the web, and there's a bit of a breaking news story that apparently only one person in the NFL is covering as it surrounds Deshaun Watson and his intrepid past. But first, here's Big Kahuna with the Sports Center Update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on the Fan, NFL Week 1 wraps up tonight with Monday Night Football from Santa Clara. Aaron Rodgers giving it another go as Jets starter as they visit the 49ers. Hopefully he makes it through at least past the second series. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. 49ers are 4-point favorites. Bills head coach Sean McDermott says Josh Allen has been cleared to participate in today's walkthrough and also to play Thursday against the Dolphins despite an injury to his non-throwing hand. ESPN also reporting Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson could still play Sunday against the Saints despite being diagnosed with a bone bruise and a minor left MCL sprain. Panthers Pro Bowl tackle Derek Brown reportedly to have surgery to repair an apparent meniscus injury, which could potentially be season-ending. And Adam Schefter reporting Rams receiver Puka Nacua aggravated his knee injury last night and is considered week to week. Oregon receiver Tez Johnson named Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week for his 85-yard punt return touchdown against Boise State that gave the Ducks a 27-20 lead in the third quarter. And the Mariners off today after taking the weekend series with the Cardinals. They start a 9-game homestand tomorrow with 2 against the Padres. Seattle still 4.5 games back of Houston in the AL West and 3.5 games out of the wild card. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
Fitting that right now over Dusty's shoulder, I'm watching the highlights or lowlights of the Cowboys and Browns game as Deshaun Watson was absolutely horrid in a manner that is kind of befitting what the latest news is that's coming out of Deshaun Watson. Interestingly enough, none of the other newsbreakers in the NFL world, and I mean none of them, are covering what Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is reporting. And it's a little bit interesting. One, Florio's he's a different dog.
He is wrong a lot.
He is, but with this, I don't think you can be wrong because it's both slander and libel if it's incorrect. Because it is about a new potential lawsuit where Watson on Monday has allegedly been sued in Houston for sexual assault and battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Okay, and this is not a new incident, but it is a new lawsuit.
It was not, well, it was a new incident, but it was not a part of the previous group of lawsuits.
I'm talking, it's by a new incident. This happened in October of 2020.
And if you're wondering statute of limitations, in most states it is 2 years. In Texas, it is 5 years for one specific reason: the alleged sexual assault, which brings up a modicum of different issues for Deshaun Watson, the NFL, and everyone else involved.
Mm-hmm.
Why this is important on the NFL side is if this is found to be a sexual assault case, which is different from what was originally brought against him in the past.
And this is in civil court, not criminal court.
This is a lawsuit dating. The incident took place on October 10th in 2020 in Texas. And I'm not going to go through what allegedly transpired because it's sexual assault. It's nasty. Not something you enjoy talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But why it's important from a football sense, and I'm not trying to devalue this woman who's not named. She's a Jane Doe in the lawsuit. What this would enable is if he is found guilty or liable in this civil case, it would open up the NFL's conduct policy, which would enable the NFL to suspend Deshaun Watson and allow the Cleveland Browns to void and get out of his contract.
Well, by all accounts, there were a lot of provisions put into his contract regarding these sorts of instances and lawsuits. So I'm sure that it's probably a little bit easier for Cleveland to get out of his deal, even if he's not found guilty. If he is found in violation of the personal conduct policy, which doesn't mean you have to be found guilty of anything. If he's found is in violation of the personal conduct policy, they can suspend him and then get the ball rolling on this. The timing couldn't be worse for Deshaun Watson after the performance that he had, but this guy, I think we've all kind of agree on.
This would be case
scumbag
16 because there was 15 in the original lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
So
what Florio is reporting is that this is a lawsuit that has been filed.
Yes.
We'll see where it goes from there, and that may be why some of the newsbreakers aren't really on it quite yet, is because of the fact that this lawsuit is just being filed, and Tony Busby, the guy who is representing her, burnt a lot of those reporters on the first time around.
Because he's the same lawyer who was handling the case last time.
Yep.
So this is an interesting point considering where things are with the Browns and Watson, because they are a championship caliber roster outside of the quarterback.
Talented.
So.
Oh, boy. Well, Deshaun Watson, the
And
guy
again,
that I just like, even when I watch them, I was sitting there just watching the Cowboys, and I'm like, I hope Dallas just absolutely dismantles them. Because, and that I'm talking about the Cowboys.
I have to say, that's hard to say about the Cowboys.
I know, but I watch him play, and I'm just like, I don't like that guy.
No, I mean, he's a
At
terrible
all.
human.
At all.
But he's also, it sucks that he's a terrible human because he was really fun to watch with Houston.
He was fun to watch, and apparently not to be around ever.
Just awful guy.
Golly.
Well, you want to keep it in some college football, or you
Yeah.
want to dive into the Tyreek Hill stuff?
Well, we talked a little Hill. Let's stay in college football.
All right, we'll get into some college football, some news and notes around the top 25 and what went wrong for a couple different teams here on Danny and Dusty today, the Fan. Quick pivot. Unfortunately, one of the great actors of our time, James Earl Jones, has passed away at the age of 93 years old.
Oh, man. You think of James Earl Jones and how many just
Iconic.
absolutely iconic roles that he has played.
It's the greatest villain of all time.
Darth
in
Vader.
voicing Darth Vader. Side note,
Yeah.
as it pertains to Darth Vader and James Earl Jones, have you ever seen the clips of the guy acting as Darth Vader? Because they didn't know the voice of Darth Vader when they first shot it.
Oh, really?
And it's a British guy. And there's behind the scenes cuts of them showing like Darth Vader, like when they first gets on Princess Leia's ship in the very first Star Wars.
Interesting.
And he's like yelling with an English accent. And it sounds so awful. And George Lucas highlighted how we didn't know what it was. We just knew it wasn't him.
Yeah.
And then they heard James Earl Jones's voice and they went, that's Darth Vader.
That's him right there. But you think of, so he's Darth Vader, the voice of Darth Vader. You go to, he's also the voice of Mufasa in The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
You have Field of Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Coming to America.
Sandlot, Coming to America. In every time that he would speak, it just made you feel comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the Field of Dreams speech is insane. Rust with the great turnaround here.
Ray, people will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers. And sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game. And it'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
How great is that?
That's Goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
That is a movie and a scene so iconic it spawned in the real world. And you have MLB games at a site in Iowa at the actual Field of Dreams. Now, unfortunately, they didn't play those games there this year, but they could revisit it again in 2025. Or over the past 4 years, previous to this year, they were playing 2 games there in a series. But now the Field of Dreams is open all throughout through the summer months, where it hosts youth tournaments.
I don't care about the health of the players. For that game, don't put a wall up. Give me just the actual corn. Just give me the actual corn. Yeah. Let Mike Trout just go and dive into a cornfield. I don't care.
I got literal goosebumps when the first time they went out there and they walked out of the cornfields.
That was awesome.
That was like, oh
yeah. His roles. He's in 190 credits.
Good Lord.
That he has on IMDb. 190.
And he's got some iconic ones. Obviously, Field of Dreams. Obviously, Darth Vader.
But
what about Conan? Thulsa Doom?
Yeah. I mean,
Hunt for the Red October. James Greer.
Dr. Strangelove. Yeah. He was in that as well.
He does iconic. That's what he did.
It was just absolutely through the test of time, so many different genres as well, right? From kids movies like The Lion King and Sandlot,
Mufasa,
to Field of Dreams, which is iconic sports cinema, to I don't know, maybe the most popular movie franchise of all time in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
And again, he was a part of the original Clancy series as Admiral Greer because he also did Patriot Games with Harrison Ford.
He makes me like there's two people that you want to like narrate your life. One's James Earl Jones, the other is Morgan Freeman. You know?
I mean,
those two guys.
Those are the two best voices.
I want the voice of either one of them for my GPS.
Yeah. Well, you can.
Can you?
Waze used to have Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Used to be able to. He used to be the guy who would tell you directions to places.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That'd
Yeah.
be pretty kick-ass.
I use Waze, and I didn't know that.
It was for a movie. I don't know what it was. I can't remember.
I want to bring that back.
He was in a movie though, and it was like as part of the pub for that, where he'd be like, "Turn left," and you, okay.
Oh, that's right. How
Whatever
about the
you
one
say,
commercial for T-Mobile or something with him mimicking how kids text and saying the phrase "totes my goats"?
Yeah.
The most dramatic reading ever.
Because you wanted to hear his voice.
You want to hear James Earl Jones say "totes my goats"?
Yes. Yes.
I always wondered what it'd be like to have a voice like that, like Morgan Freeman, like James Earl Jones, where
Yeah.
everything you say, everything you say sounds cool.
Okay. Well, I'm looking here. You can go back. Reddit has a thing on, in case anybody wants to get back the Waze Morgan Freeman directions, you can find it on Reddit. So they'll find a way to make sure you can have Morgan Freeman give you turn-by-turn directions.
Oh, I'm bringing that back.
All right. Yeah, you can still do it.
I very much want that to be a thing in my life.
Yeah, buddy.
So,
R.I.P. James Earl Jones. We always talk about people who are like, are they dead yet or not? James Earl Jones just seemed like a guy who would always stay alive.
Yeah.
93. That's a good run.
yeah, it is. It also makes me worry about Morgan Freeman.
Great run. Yeah, he's old too. He's
Morgan's
old.
87.
Yeah.
It's
well,
not long for him.
No. Well, you can always download the app and have him with you forever.
That's creepier when you say it that way.
All right. Well, sorry.
Wow.
You're not the first person to call me creepy.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Clint Eastwood, 94. Denzel, almost 70. Man, a lot of the big time A-listers that were in their peaks when we were kids, they're getting old.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right, coming up next, we'll pivot back to college football. The rest of the top 25 had, boy, they have a week. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Hour number 3 here on a Monday afternoon on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this lovely, lovely Monday. Following week 1 of the NFL, week 2 of college football in the books, moving to week 3. But boy, do we have some storylines out or inside the top 25 as Oregon survives a scare. Many others inside the top 25 did not.
And this is the thing. Oregon flirting with disaster, but finding success. Somehow, some way, sticking the landing. It's not easy, right? They're 2-0. Oregon's 2-0. They have been flirting with not being one of these casualties like Notre Dame that went down. And they went down hard.
Notre Dame paid Northern Illinois $1.4 million to punch them in the mouth.
He's lining it up. 5 seconds left. NIU up 16-14. 62-yarder. Snap, hold, Jeter's kick. It's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! Picked up by NIU! Picked up by NIU! The Huskies have done it! The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history! They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country. NIU 16, Notre Dame 14. The football gods were shining down on NIU.
I found myself Andy Garcia on the call.
Great call.
NIU
Boy,
Radio
quite
Network.
the career pivot.
Yeah, he doesn't sound the same.
No.
He doesn't sound the same. But that was one of those games where I told you this last week about Riley Leonard, right? Riley Leonard, what you see is what you get with him. He is a battering ram. He is a strong quarterback. If you need him to throw the football for you, it's not going to work out well.
Notre Dame, Texas A&M in week 1 was a horrendous game. And I came away from that game, Nemec texted me after this one. He goes, it's week 1, man. I was like, I don't think either of these teams are any good. Going into that, after again, I know how early it is, and you can change.
I mean, look, Notre Dame has done this before, where they stub their toe early, and then they end up.
Then they play no one the rest of the season, and they somehow magically end up there, and they get to a bowl game, and they get smashed in the mouth.
Well, last year they smashed Oregon State in the mouth, and they had one of those losses last year too, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is what. And look, Oregon State was depleted.
Yeah, I would say there's.
But remember,
nobody
2 years ago when they lost to Marshall out of the gate, they were 0-2 out of the gate. They lost to Ohio State and Marshall back-to-back weeks, and then they end up rattling off, I think, 8 of their next 9 games. They ended up winning. I can't explain it, but getting guys every single week to get up to the level of the competition, you saw it against A&M. I think what you were right about out of week 1 was Texas A&M and Notre Dame. They don't have quarterbacks that can carry you to wins.
No, and Riley Leonard.
But that doesn't mean that they're not good teams.
I should say, when I'm saying not good, I'm talking about these are not teams that should be remotely associated with the college football playoff. They might be a top 25, top 30, top 40 team pretty clearly.
Yeah.
But the line for CFP team, they don't have the quarterback play. Riley Leonard objectively hurt Notre Dame against NIU. He was bad.
Yeah.
Although Jeremiah Love had maybe one of the most obscene runs of the college football season. Did you see the hurdle?
I did.
He hurdled a guy damn near standing. That was incredible.
In Notre Dame's, it's the weird. College football is the weirdest damn thing.
It's
because of momentum, because you got kids, and because they were high on their own supply after beating A&M on the road, thinking that, hey, they listened to what everybody else said, which was, hey, you from here on out, you're on easy street. Notre
You don't
Dame.
play anybody else.
You've got to beat Louisville. You've got to beat USC, and if you win those 2 games, you are in the college football playoff. Full stop. And so they were reading into that, right? And that is a really tough thing to get through in the world of college football. We saw it even with Alabama and Nick Saban last year when they barely slipped by, USF. And it bit Notre Dame this year. It's bitten them in years past, and I think that's the big bugaboo about, Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, is that they have one of these every damn year.
In the other big game of the week, the biggest game of the week, Texas-Michigan, it was a slaughter.
Yep.
31-12 does not underscore how much of a butt kicking that game was.
No, it was in the
It was
trenches where
over
Michigan's
half.
supposed to impose their will. They didn't, with one of the best defensive lines in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They were unable to affect and really change Quinn Ewers as a quarterback, because that's where Michigan did such a great job over the last handful of years. Is they would muddy up a game and make a quarterback feel really uncomfortable. And you
0 sacks.
You never got that feeling with Quinn Ewers. They did do a decent enough job of at the point of attack in the run game, but the game was over by the time any of it mattered.
Yeah.
So they can't run the ball very well. I think it was a big statement by Texas's defensive line and their front seven to say, we know that we can force Michigan to be one-dimensional, and they're not going to beat us with their arm, and they didn't.
And Davis Warren is not the answer at quarterback for that Michigan team.
That's a big win for Texas, though,
It is.
going on the road, even though, Michigan may not be the team last year that they were, and they may be riding on a little bit of reputation. They imposed their will, and they said, no, we are deserving of being one of those top teams in all of college football that everybody circled heading into the beginning of the season.
Utah, they have a bit of a scare early on, as he is wont to do. Cam Rising gets dinged up against Baylor, and the second Cam Rising goes down, Utah looks like Utah State.
Yeah. Well, now, the good news is yesterday, Kyle Whittingham came out, had his availability, and said he doesn't believe that is a serious injury to the hand of Cam Rising, but we don't know anything more than that.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. That's a game I had circled just to see what we were going to get out of Utah in the Big 12, right? That was an interesting matchup just because the first Big 12 game, you're playing against a Baylor team that has been improved. I don't know, man.
I mean, early on, Utah looked like
if Rising is hurt,
they're
done.
They're done.
They're done.
But if he's okay, they'll be more than fine. They were going to blow the doors off Baylor until Rising hit his hand. And the second Isaac Wilson came in, it was like, oh no.
Quarterback seems to be an important position.
Maybe nowhere more than at Utah in the top 25.
And they got Utah State coming up this week, and if we learned anything watching USC against Utah State, that's a broken program.
They are bad.
Yep. Blake Anderson, their coach, got fired like a week before camp started.
Yeah. In the are they back category, both Miami and Tennessee with their quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Nico Iamaleava. The quarterback Heisman hype, which I think was shifted towards some guys to start this season, has shifted towards, I think, probably 3 guys in the country right now in Ward, Iamaleava, and Quinn Ewers out of the gate.
Yeah.
And you've got some pretty interesting storylines from some top quarterbacks in the country. What Tennessee did to NC State is they embarrassed NC State and the ACC.
Oh, no way. Never saw that coming. The ACC is awful. It's a bad conference, and Miami should boat race everybody in that league. But again, like we were talking about with Notre Dame, the hardest part that Mario Cristobal is going to have to do is not get his team caught up in all the hype that's surrounding their team and how bad everybody else is in that league, because we saw they're going to have Cal. They have to go to Berkeley and play Cal. Cal went on the road, got a decent win at Auburn, which Auburn's not a top 25 team.
You're going into an SEC house, and
they went on the road and they won.
Difficult place to play, and they won.
They went on the road and they won. And how about the Pac-12, the former Pac-12?
21-3.
And 3-0 against the former SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and 2 of the 3 losses of the former Pac-12 belong to Prime. The only other loss is Stanford.
They've only lost 1 game, though. They're 1-1. Colorado?
What was the other one that I saw?
They beat North Dakota State.
Oh, that's right. They did beat North Dakota State.
And they lost. Stanford lost to TCU.
And then what was the third one then?
I don't know.
I can't remember the stat now. Okay.
The Pac-2 is undefeated.
Undefeated.
I do know that.
And heading into rivalry games.
And that's fun.
which is probably a good place to pivot to talk some Beavers.
There you go.
Coming up next, we'll talk some Beavs as they go down and hand their first road shutout in 41 years. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. After some quick sleuthing, the former Pac-12 is 21-2. Your only two losses belonging to Stanford and Colorado.
Yeah.
Everybody else undefeated, including those Beavers down in Corvallis who went down to San Diego State and won 21-0 in a game where they held a road opponent scoreless for the first time in 41 years, as the aforementioned nastiest football game of all time, a 0-0 tie between Oregon and Oregon State.
Yeah, it was the Toilet Bowl, as it's referred to. 1983, Civil War. Last time the Beavs went on the road and won a game in shutout fashion Well, I guess they didn't even win that game. Shut out an opponent on the road, period, full stop. In this game, boy, it was something. Oregon State, in their defense, it is really hard to shut anybody out in any football game. I mean, truly is. But it is even more difficult when you have to go on the road and do it. And then, look, Oregon State isn't like Alabama, where they have these juggernaut teams that are taken on the road every year in and year out. But the way that San Diego State's got their issues. They just hired Sean Lewis, former offense coordinator at Colorado, who was at Kent State prior to that as the head coach.
Remember, Lewis did really well at Colorado, but he was blamed for the offensive line sucking.
And he did a really damn good job at Kent State, too. I mean, he was really good. But this year, they're starting a true freshman quarterback, Danny O'Neal, and he looked like a freshman in that game. And they pride themselves on running the football with Marquez Cooper, who last week he went off for 223 yards, had a phenomenal game. And did you see what he said after that game?
Mm-mm.
He was asked about Ashton Genty going for 267 against Georgia Southern, and he said, "I'm out to prove that I'm the best back in this league." He went for 13 carries, 53 yards. And he did not Ashton Genty the Oregon State Beavers.
No.
Beavs did a really good job of controlling them, but their offense has got to be explosive, and they've got to have explosives early in the game. They jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and this is why it's hard to shut a team out, is because of the fact that when you're shutting a team out, you're controlling the game and you feel comfortable, and you have that sense and tendency to let the foot off the gas. It was 7-0 heading into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, this whole idea of like we've kind of maddened or college footballed ourselves to death with video games and like what scores are supposed to actually be.
Yep.
Getting a shutout is a difficult thing, no matter who you're playing. You want to talk about Oregon putting up 81 points. How did Portland State eventually score? Was it 81-0 or was it 81-7?
No, it was 81-7, but that was early in the game they scored.
but
I think it was the first drive for Portland State.
But again, my point being, even Portland State was able to putting up a touchdown, a score on the board is something that happens regularly. It doesn't matter who you play. And so for an Oregon State team to go down there and shut a team out, no matter how much disillusion or disarray a organization or a program is in, this Oregon State one isn't exactly standing on the most solid ground.
No.
So it's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And look, they got the ball rolling again after what was seeming like punt, and then they missed a field goal in the second quarter, and then it went back to just punt. Again, just like in the Boise State Oregon game, sudden change affects you.
Mm-hmm.
And that fumble from San Diego State, sudden change. Your defense has to come from resting, going over stuff on the sidelines to, oh, nope, back out on the field. Oregon State goes down, and they just march their way down the field, and they finally get it up to 14-0. And when you are feeding off of San Diego State was going in to score. Like, it wasn't like it was this, easy 7-0 lead where San Diego State didn't even sniff the end zone. They were on the 2-yard line, man. They're on the 2-yard line going in to score, and Oregon State's defense made a play.
Walled up.
They made a play, and they got the ball back for their offense. But then a 98-yard drive, you just saw at that sudden change when you started to see San Diego State was getting back into it, the crowd's starting to get back into it, that they're feeling a little bit of momentum that we're not going to go away in this game. All of a sudden, a death march 13-play 98-yard drive when Oregon State needed it the most. That's why sudden change is a backbreaker, man. And it broke San Diego State after that. They were done after that.
I mean, you run the ball, was it 51 times? Yeah, 51 times or 237 yards. That'll break your back.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
That's what you do.
What is that, 78 total downs between passes? Yeah, that's controlling the clock, man.
Well,
good Lord.
Did you see the time of possession?
No, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, that's
the time of possession
wild.
was 41-19. Like it was San Diego State's offense was atrocious.
Anemic.
Atrocious. But give Oregon State a ton of credit for what they did defensively. And like this is the thing that is impressive about what Oregon State is doing is that you talk about new pieces. You talk about the transfer portal and having those guys gel and that affecting both sides of the football. They had a mass exodus from that roster, and they brought guys in at Oregon State. They have come together very quickly, and they were sound on third down. Man, it was only like 2 of 12. I think San Diego State was on third down. They bowed their back when it mattered the most, and I give the Beavs a ton of credit for going down there. That is not an easy thing to do. I don't care if their offense didn't look pretty when they did it. They ran the ball down their throat, and they kept leaning on it. That 98-yard drive was a thing of beauty. Offensive linemen around the world just absolutely loved it. Kyle Devan has done a really good job with that O-line.
Good
old-fashioned
old-fashioned
what
death
we're
march.
starting to see now is that maybe it wasn't your offensive lineman in Colorado, Dion, because 2 of them are doing a pretty good job at Oregon State right now.
Interesting. That was as I was driving this morning. I can't remember who I was listening to, and they highlighted what teams are doing to Colorado in that vein. They're saying, "Run the ball. We're maybe gonna put 3 guys in the box. Like we're just gonna pack
Dare 'em to.
They're literally that is going to be the game plan for everybody that plays Colorado going forward, which is put 3 down linemen and just go ahead.
They are not a well-coached team.
Oregon State might be getting better.
No, they are. I mean, Kyle Devan was a hell of an offensive lineman. Did a really good job at his previous stops too, albeit he hasn't been coaching for like a decade plus. But he is a really tactically sound coach too. I mean,
And those are the kind of things you have to do when you have to make those sudden changes in your coaching staff.
Yeah. I think when the pieces get in there too, it'll be interesting to see Gunderson settle in as a play caller as well, because right now they're working through some stuff with McCoy at quarterback. You understand his limitations as a thrower. I mean, he threw for a ton of yards at Idaho, but he is a creator. He's a play creator, and I think that's what Gunderson likes about having him back behind center.
All right, well, we'll pivot back to the NFL now. We've got some news and notes coming out, the injuries from Week 1. But we also still have one more game from Week 1 to get to.
Oh, we do?
Oh, yeah. The Jets and the 49ers will get underway here to wrap up Week number 1 in San Francisco. We'll get to that and more. But first, here's Big Kahuna with Sports and Update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today to get all the latest news and specials. First on the Fan, NFL Week 1 wraps up tonight with Monday Night Football from Santa Clara. Aaron Rodgers with his debut part 2 with the Jets visiting the 49ers. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. The 49ers are 4-point favorites. Bills head coach Sean McDermott says Josh Allen has been cleared to participate in today's walkthrough and play Thursday against the Dolphins despite an injury to his non-throwing hand. Rams receiver Puka Nacua aggravated his knee injury last night and will be placed on injured reserve, meaning he'll miss at least 4 weeks. ESPN reporting Panthers Pro Bowl defensive tackle Derek Brown will have surgery to repair an apparent meniscus injury that could potentially be season-ending. And ESPN also reporting Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson could still play Sunday against the Saints despite being diagnosed with a bone bruise and a minor left MCL sprain. Oregon receiver Tez Johnson named Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week for his 85-yard punt return touchdown against Boise State that gave the Ducks a 27-20 lead in the third quarter. And the Mariners off today after taking the weekend series with the Cardinals. They start a 9-game homestand tomorrow with 2 against the Padres. Seattle still 4.5 games back of Houston in the AL West, 3.5 games out of the wild card with 18 games left in the regular season. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Sue on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Little news and notes here, as Jeff Rust alluded to in the update there. Old Puka Nacua thrown on IR.
Can we just stop for 1 second and say that the name of this band is Bullet for My Valentine?
Yeah.
The guy who does Metal to Yacht Rock needs to take Bullet for My Valentine and make this into a nice little love song. That guy does a great job. He puts out some bangers.
Here's a crazy one for you. Okay, like, I know this isn't your music. Just listening to the music though.
Yeah.
If I told you these guys were all British, would you believe it?
No.
They
Well,
are.
that's not with like most music. Though.
It's so crazy. Like when I first heard them, I was really into them, and I was like, oh, this band's rules. And then all of a sudden, I found out they're British, and I was like,
nope,
points,
don't like you
points
anymore.
deducted.
You can't be metal and be British.
Well, here's the thing: is they aren't the Bullet for My Valentine, so therefore I like them.
Oh
It's
yeah.
bands that put the in front of it. I'm just not.
They probably got plenty of metal in their teeth to fill those cavities.
Well,
Hey-oh, that's
see,
porcelain.
That's giving them too much credit. They don't do anything to their teeth.
Wow.
Look, man, I was over there for a long time. It doesn't make any sense. It's like they just don't care.
Yeah, well,
It's very.
that seems like it would be painful.
It's very like my teeth aren't the best. My teeth are stained. I chewed for 25 years, and my teeth are still better than 98% of England's.
All right.
It's tough.
Wouldn't you still want to be concerned about having stank breath?
Yeah,
You would think.
that's
That's why you just keep drinking tea. To freshen up that palate.
Yeah.
Or Guinness.
Or Guinness.
God.
Yeah.
Hot tea and Guinness, two things I don't like. I'm a cold tea guy.
Well, I like tea.
I like some sun tea, like a good old cold sun tea.
Arizona iced tea, which don't change their prices, like a Costco dog.
It's great. No, they did raise the prices on those, didn't they?
No, they're
Was it the pizza they raised the price on?
yeah. They said
That's what it was.
the dog and the soda will not
Yeah,
change.
it was a pizza they raised the price on because
Yeah.
that was a good deal too. Not a good deal for the Rams. Puka Nacua out for at least a month as he's thrown on IR.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, Antoine Winfield also
Probably going to be longer.
dinged up with the Buccaneers, and it turns out there's more reporting that the Buccaneers basically the entire secondary is banged up now and going to be missing some time. So. Week one, we managed to avoid probably the devastating injuries that we've had. I don't know, like Aaron Rodgers 4 snaps into his Jets debut.
Who plays tonight?
Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets will take on the San Francisco Giants in. Well, I shouldn't say in San Francisco because they don't play in San Francisco.
Santa Clara, baby.
Santa Clara, 45 minutes away, where they've shown a couple camera angles panned out from the park, and the smoke is rolling in from the wildfires. It looks. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. San Francisco looks like crap to begin with, but ugh,
Yeah.
hard pass. What's a more enticing storyline for you? The return of Aaron Rodgers off the Achilles injury, or the 49ers reintroducing everyone back out there after all the drama they've had this summer?
Yeah, I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I really do because their defense is still good, but I want to see a competent quarterback throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a shell of the same quarterback that he was? We're talking about a guy who had back-to-back MVP seasons 3 and 4 years ago.
Yeah. And then his next year was down, but still very good.
Still very good, and then he ruptures his Achilles and is out for all of last year. And when you're 40 years old, it doesn't.
Your body heals differently.
But mobility he has adapted his game because Aaron Rodgers was a runner.
Aaron ran a 4.5 at the combine.
Aaron Rodgers was very mobile, and that was a skill and a trait that he used to his advantage. He is, even before the injury, adapted that to where he knew he couldn't take those hits. He couldn't run the way he did.
It wasn't Peyton or Eli either, where he was a statue in the pocket where it looked like he was going to hurt himself.
But
running.
how much does this affect him?
Did
that, to me, is going to be a fascinating storyline because they've got weapons that can beat you in a variety of ways, whether it's Garrett Wilson, who's the big play game breaker, Mike Williams, big body possession guy, Alan Lazard, his little safety blanket that he can always check down to, and then Breece Hall. Breece Hall out of the backfield, and what does it open up for Breece Hall to have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers where defenses don't just have to load the box and account for him all
and
day
his
long?
giant forehead.
Did their offensive line improve at all, though.
Yeah, that's obviously the question, because that was the issue coming out of camp in preseason, was like, can they keep Aaron upright? And then 4 plays in, no, they couldn't, because he got a little ankle pick. And look, it wasn't a bad or a malicious hit. Just, it happens.
He was ready to go.
Yeah.
But they got Elijah Vera Tucker. You got Tyron Smith. We'll see.
Those
TBD
two,
on that.
Those two, if they're healthy, then that's a question with both of them, are very good.
Yeah.
But
hey, that's one of the things out of week 1 in the NFL that we didn't really talk about, because they also, as a backup, they've got Olu Fashanu, right?
yes,
The
Penn State wrecking ball.
the rookie lineman played. It wasn't just Joe Alt. The rookie offensive lineman played out of their mind this week.
I mean, Olafashanu was looked at as a guy on the freaks list, as a guy that just you didn't want to deal with.
Pass block win rates, according to Seth Walder of ESPN. Talise Fuaga, 94%. Tyler Guyton, 84%. Joe Alt, 79%. Kingsley Suamataia, 69%. Nice. J.C. Latham, 65%. I mean,
Those
the
are win
rookies
rates.
were showing out in week 1.
I think league average last year on win rates like 55, 56.
They did. Those guys did a really good job, and it's only week 1, but
They'll get better.
they played really stinking well.
In Aaron Rodgers news, did you see the news?
No.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers,
VP?
Enigma,
The Netflix doc.
Netflix doc coming out in December, documenting the entire part of his recovery. Oh, it's already done, buddy.
How long until the documentary that he's probably producing, he's going to have it take issue and exception to, and be like, oh, they didn't tell the whole story. And
Well-
it's going to start with him being like, this is the unfiltered,
They have one of
unbiased take.
his trainers. I can't remember his name. He also worked with Kobe and Michael Jordan. They've already done the promo work, and it highlights. He goes, those guys believe that their bodies were capable of doing things that were outside science. Like, they thought that their bodies could heal better, and then they could play through stuff that nobody else. Like, they have it's basically a disease. Like, what made them so good was that they had a belief that they were superior, like as human beings, that mentally they could overcome injuries. Like Kobe had an Achilles tear and came back from it. The difference between Kobe Bryant pre and post Achilles was drastic.
Yeah.
And the only people who don't acknowledge that are Laker fans. He was an entirely different player. He was really the last guy, I think, who had his game really impacted by it. Everybody else since then it's not that's dismissed.
Before you text it, Wes Matthews was before Kobe.
Yes. But like the guys that have whatever they've done treatment wise has made things better. Like it's actually kind of insane. It was a death sentence 8 years ago, and now it's something that guys come back from.
Yeah.
Who was the running back that tore his last year? There was a running back that tore his Achilles last year or 2 years ago and came back last year. And it was like it was nothing. It was only out for 8 months. It was like, what the hell? How does that happen? But I am going to be interested to see, number one, how Aaron looks.
Yeah.
Like mentally, physically, this is a guy who's basically seen everything in the NFL. He's been around for forever. But does he get jittery? You can be the greatest ever to ever having done it.
Some of those clips kind of look like from joint team stuff. And again, guy, no preseason. How's this going to affect him?
Yeah. And then the other side of this is the team they're playing. San Francisco was embroiled in controversy after controversy after controversy of their own creation. And then their rookie wide receiver got shot in the chest.
Yeah. I mean, you have Trent Williams, who, by all reports and accounts, is going to be full go, no limitations. Brandon Ayuk probably going to be on a pitch count. So
Christian McCaffrey, limited.
We'll see. Yeah, with this calf strain, never good.
Debo Samuel's never healthy.
Well, he is at the beginning of the year.
Is he?
Yeah. 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 Broke his shoulder last year. That was nasty.
Love Debo, but he's never truly healthy. And then, but didn't Kittle have a knock too that he picked up?
Yes.
Yeah, he had something.
Yeah.
But that's the 49ers in a nutshell.
Yep.
Is that they are the most talented roster in the NFL, but they're hanging on by a thread.
And they are going to be, that's the thing about acquiring all the talent and accumulating all the talent that they have, is that you can go through those nicks, bumps, and bruises. They just can't be all at the same time, and that's what you hope if you're a 49er fan. So I'm interested for both these teams tonight and what we're going to see in Monday Night Football, because there is so much unknown with New York and Aaron Rodgers being under center for more than 4 plays. And then for San Francisco, all that drama that you just outlined with everything that's surrounded them. It's just been a cloud. And you sit there and we've seen this before with teams, and it usually doesn't go well.
No.
It doesn't go well.
Like, we haven't talked about this. Maybe we can wrap the NFL up with the Eagles and Packers a little bit here besides the field. The line right now in the San Francisco Jets game is 4.5 for the 49ers.
Yeah.
That seems a little, because 3 points is usually what you get at home. So they're saying they're 1.5 points better than the Jets with the quarterback coming off an Achilles tear?
I think
and
some of
they're
that
supposed to be a
is
Super Bowl favorite?
I think some of it's trying to bait Jets fans into getting some hope and getting some action.
Don't
on
be
it,
wrong;
maybe.
those New York markets love it, but it's very interesting. I do want to pivot back to the Friday night game because we haven't talked about that game in particular much. That Packers-Eagles game, beyond the field being an S show, that game was horrendous. Jalen Hurts looked atrocious. Not okay. He looked awful.
Yep.
And all I could think was, I hope Saquon is good for them, because I don't know if you can trust Jalen Hurts to win you a game right now the way that he's playing. Now, Saquon was more than up to the task, but now you've also got the Packers with Jordan Love with an MCL injury. Now that division looks a little more open, if that's something. That's probably the most significant injury, right? Of week 1 is Jordan Love going down.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A guy who's an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, thankfully, not a torn MCL. Thankfully. But what was your overall takeaway from that Eagles Packers game? Because I came away thinking, holy crap, the Eagles are in trouble, even though they won.
I think there is a big TBD on Philly still. And Jordan Love getting hurt, and look, that didn't affect the game because it was the last play.
Yeah.
I mean, but Green Bay, I think, is going to be all right in that division. The Vikings looked impressive, but who were they playing?
Yeah.
They were playing the Giants.
1.5 points.
Sam Darnold completed his first 12 completions, though. And Kevin O'Connell is a really good coordinator. They have weapons abound. They're going to be a sneaky team. But Chicago still has their warts, and we'll see how fast Caleb Williams and the offense can catch up. Their defense still good. Detroit is the class of the NFC North, and then I think Green Bay is still going to settle in right behind Detroit, just like they did last year. So I'm not too concerned about that, but there is something with a lack of continuity with Jalen Hurts, and I think a little bit of it has to do with Kellen Moore being his play caller now. You think about that. He's on his 3rd play caller in 3 years. That's tough for a quarterback to go through, but the protection wasn't bad. We did find that without Jason Kelce, the tush push, not effective, and that will be kind of as the season wears on and it goes on. You had Jalen Hurts asked to do more as far as getting everybody ready pre-snap because of no Jason Kelce. And I think that maybe slowed him down between the years as you're getting pre-snap and then post-snap as he kind of settles in. I think he'll be okay. I was impressed with Philly. Saquon Barkley leaning on the run game. That's going to be a big one that they can use. Patrick Queen lived up to being the acquisition that he was.
Yeah, Ravens are missing him.
He's really stinking good.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to be, once their pieces kind of settle in, Kellen Moore as a play caller, Cowboys fans, Chargers fans, they can give all the Eagles fans in the world all the reasons to be concerned about play calling in pivotal games and as the season wears on.
All right, come on. We'll put a nice little bow on the first week of both college and NFL. Back in action here on Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan. Week 1 of the NFL wraps tonight with the Jets and the 49ers, but there were some stand-up performances, specifically as it pertains to the Northwest team up in Seattle, as they dictated terms to Bo Nix and the Broncos.
It really did. I mean, Bo Nix struggled out of the gate, and I thought Mike McDonald's defense, they played a phenomenal game. Whether, I mean, it was Reek Woolen with the interception or Devin Witherspoon had a fantastic game, but I thought the linebackers played really stinking well, especially Tyrell Dodson at linebacker. He just seemed like he was almost everywhere. And Boye Mafe on the edge, I don't know if Mike McDonald's going to unlock something, but he seemed like he was giving Bo Nix hell on every single snap. He ended up with, I think it was 7 hurries and a sack. He was in the backfield nonstop. And that has kind of been one of those missing links with Seattle and their defense. If Mafe can become a nuisance in the backfield.
Be Frank Clark.
Oh, my God. That could unlock a ton defensively because their corners are good.
I mean,
their secondary is good.
I mean, their corners.
And Julian Love had a hell of a game, too.
Yeah, 12 tackles is a good game.
I would say so.
It feels like you don't get as many of those games anymore, but on the other side, Riley Moss had 12 as well. But I feel like you don't get many of the God, what was his name for the Panthers? Kuechly. I feel like you don't get many of the Kuechly tackling games anymore.
Well, because defense has changed so much as tempo is introduced in college and the NFL. Like, it's not playing every single snap is not that badge of honor anymore.
Yeah.
On the defensive side of the football, it is, all right, we're going to limit your snaps, but you've got to be fresh. And when you're fresh, what do you do when you're out on the field? And that is it's kind of been a transition that we've seen. You don't see it as much in the second.